Just a few weeks ago, I felt like the luckiest guy alive. Not spiritually, but practically. Life was good. I wasn't rich like Bill Gates, but I ran my dad's manufacturing business and did well. Bills were paid, profits reinvested. One day I'd retire with a solid nest egg. That habit of reinvesting came from my dad. He never drew a salary, so when he divorced his second wife, she got nothing. I never thought much of it. He was a womanizer till the end. I wasn't. I was a family man. My wife and daughter were everything to me. Were. Now the pride I had in them feels like a curse. I relive every memory with Lori and Katie, looking for signs I missed, signs of betrayal. Even Katie, my daughter, was the one who shattered everything. It started one Friday. I was mowing the lawn early to prep for a car show. My 2009 Mustang GT was clean and tucked away. Katie came home, hugged me quickly, and went to talk to her mom on the patio. I glanced over now and then, expecting another money ask. But their conversation was intense. They didn't notice me approach until I heard something that crushed me. "Catherine, how could you be so stupid?" Lori snapped. "Come on, Mom." It was just one time. Katie wed. It wasn't even that different, just more exciting. "I'm not leaving Eric. He's just boring sometimes. He's your husband. He loves you. If you're bored, work on it. I can't believe you do this." I shut off the mower. They turned and saw me. Lori looked furious. Katie looked defensive. "Mark, talk sense to your daughter." Lori snapped. She went to a party, got drunk, and slept with a stranger while Eric was working. "Wow, Mom, why don't you announce it to the whole neighborhood?" Katie snapped. Then she turned to me with venom. "You and Dad are still together." That hit hard. Lori's mouth dropped when she saw my reaction. "It was just once, and I was drunk," Katie continued. "I wanted to try it again, sober. It's not like I'm having a full-blown affair like you did. And Dad forgave you, didn't he? Maybe Eric will too." Lori went pale. "Mom, are you okay?" Katie asked. She looked at me and finally saw the pain in my eyes. Lori stepped toward me. "Mark, I'm sorry. I really am." "Don't come near me," I said coldly. "What's going on?" Katie asked, confused. Then she looked at me, eyes wide. "You didn't know?" "She told me you did." I turned to Katie, locking eyes with her. "Burn this image into your memory," I said. "Because that's exactly how Eric will look when he finds out. And you need to tell him tonight." Her face tightened. "Dad, if it's going to hurt him like this, I can't tell him." "Then you'll lose him," I warned. "Because if he hears it from someone else like me, it'll hurt even more. I might even call him myself and suggest we split the lawyer fees." Her eyes widened. "Why would he need a lawyer?" "Maybe he'll want a divorce too." "Mark, you're upset," Lori said gently from across the room. "Damn right I'm upset," I snapped, turning to her. "I treated you like a queen. Name one thing I didn't give you, and now I find out I'm married to a cheater, and my daughter's following your example." "I know I hurt you, Mark," Lori said quietly. "Oh, so you get that I feel like a fool." My voice cracked with emotion. "I bragged about my family for years. You were my reason to work so hard." A heavy silence settled over the room. "Not anymore," I said, my tone cooler now. "I've learned how to move on. That skill is going to come in handy." I looked Lori dead in the eye. "Who was he?" She hesitated, tears gathering. "What does it matter?" "It matters to me. I want to know." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to find him," I said, "and break him. Mark, he's married too, she whispered. They're not doing well. They have problems. And we don't now, I snapped. They both backed off, probably thinking I might punch Lori. And honestly, they weren't far off. I'm going to the Mustang Memories show tomorrow, I said, trying to steady myself. Lori nodded. I know, honey. I'll come with you. We can talk on the way. No, you're not coming. I'm not like my father. What does that have to do with this? She asked. Don't call me honey. Call me Mark. My voice was sharp. My father chased women he shouldn't have. I don't surround myself with people who betray me. We're not going anywhere together. The next time we meet, we'll be in court. Mark, please. Lori sobbed. I said, I'm sorry. Can't we talk? I'm sorry, Lori whispered. Sorry doesn't fix this, I snapped, my voice sharp. And this is the only talk we're going to have. She stepped closer. Mark, if we don't talk, how can we fix it? I raised a hand to stop her. If you say sorry one more time, I swear I'll lose it. The neighbors probably already know how sorry you are. They sure heard enough. But we're done. I turned away, the decision final in my tone. After the show, I'm filing for divorce. Be gone by the time I'm back. No, Lori cried. Mark, I love you. I don't want a divorce. And I didn't want to be married to a liar, I shot back. But here we are. Tears streamed down her face. We can work through this, she pleaded. I already gave you that chance, I said coldly. When I asked you who he was, and you said nothing, you made your choice. You protected him, not our marriage. But she started desperate. No, I cut her off. You cared more about his marriage than your own. That was your mistake. I'll sue him for wrecking ours, and I'll get his wife to testify. If she can't afford a divorce, I'll pay for it myself. She stared at me, stunned, like she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her. Maybe she didn't because I wasn't the same man anymore. I'm going to finish the yard, I said, heading toward the door. Then I'm checking into a hotel after the show. I expect you gone. Mark, please, she whimpered as I restarted the mower. I stopped it just long enough to look at Katie. Catherine, tell Eric if you don't, I will. Then I turned the mower back on and got to work. As I circled the yard, the surreal nature of everything hit me. I felt like I was losing my mind. Cutting the grass, prepping for a car show. None of it was denial. It was the only way I could stay grounded. I needed routine to keep from unraveling. Lori and Katie argued on the patio while I mowed. Eventually, Katie stormed off. Lori sat in silence, watching me. Every time I passed, she looked like she wanted to speak. I ignored her. When I finished, I parked the mower and went upstairs to pack. Mark, can we talk? She asked quietly. I paused, turned to her. What are you doing? She asked. Just taking one last look at my home with you in it, I said. We can fix this, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Only if both people want to try, and I'm done. Our Ohio home was about 90 minutes from Detroit, where the auto show at Ford HQ was happening. It wasn't just a Mustang event. It was a full showcase. It seemed like exactly the kind of distraction I needed. Maybe I'd even stick around for the NASCAR race. One thing was clear. I'd have more free time now. All the sacrifices I made for my family, none of them mattered anymore. As I drove, my thoughts drifted to the night I met Lori in college. It was a crowded party. I saw her across the room, jet black hair, piercing blue eyes. She held hands with some massive guy who barely noticed her. Then he disappeared, and I made my move. I walked over and handed her a cold beer. I don't drink, she said, eyeing it. Good, I replied with a half smile. She tilted her head. Why is that good? Because I don't either, I said, holding up the second bottle. But I'll probably need both of these. She gave me a curious look, then broke into a bright, disarming smile. If you don't drink, why bring two? To calm my nerves, she laughed softly. What could you possibly be nervous about? Standing next to the most beautiful woman on the planet, I said without hesitation. That smile deepened, but her voice turned wistful. Too bad not everyone thinks so. And you won't be here long. I'll stay as long as you let me. I wouldn't mind, she said quietly, glancing away. But I'm not the one you need to worry about. I have a boyfriend. I shrugged. If you're laughing when you say that, maybe it's time you found someone who takes you seriously. Her smile returned, but only for a second. It faded, and she closed her eyes. He's twice your size, she warned. So, I said. She opened her eyes slowly. He's standing right behind you. I looked up. He was massive and pissed. I stayed calm, handed him a beer. He popped the cap off on the counter, chugged it into 2 gulps, and let out 2 loud burps. His friends looked impressed. Why are you talking to my girl? He asked, stepping closer. You know that's rude, right? I said. This is a party. What? I brought you a beer. Maybe go grab one for me, too. He paused, mumbled, sorry, and wandered off. See you? He grunted at Lori. She smiled at me. I handed her the second bottle. If he can't find one, give him this. After that night, we spent more time together. Lori was sweet, loyal, stunning, and completely wasted on Todd. He was a slow, bulky lineman with dreams of going pro. Girls clung to him for the spotlight. He never turned them down. Once I watched him sneak off with a heavy-set blonde while Lori waited inside. Despite being sharp, Lori took easy classes. Had no major, no plan. One night she called me. Todd was probably off with another girl. You must think I'm pathetic, she said, talking to you night after night, knowing Todd's cheating. I don't think you're stupid, I said. Some choices confuse me, but I don't mind Todd cheating. It gives me more time with you. Why? I thought we were just friends. That's the problem. I want more. I'm hoping the more time we spend together, the more obvious it'll be. I'm the better choice. She went quiet, then changed the topic. Besides, Todd, what else about me surprises you? Your classes. You're smart, but you're not pushing yourself. She smiled. I don't want a career. I just want to be a great wife and mom. I stared. If that's the goal, why are you here? Why not take classes that actually help with that? Lori shrugged, arms crossed loosely. Todd's plan was always to go pro, she said. But to stay on the team, he had to stay in school. So, I took the same classes to help him out. I wrote his papers. He aced those. He bombed the tests, of course, but the teachers chalked it up to test anxiety. They gave him makeup work. He scraped by. I raised an eyebrow. So the plan was he makes it to the NFL, you get married, live rich and happy ever after. Exactly, she said bitterly. Until he starts cheating. First with the cleaning lady, then the neighbors, then teachers. Lori, come on, I said gently. He'll stop once we're married, she muttered. But even she didn't sound convinced. You deserve better, I told her, voice low. Our eyes locked. Then she kissed me. Not a quick or confused kiss. Deep, real, electric. But before I could react, she pulled away fast. No, she said, breath shaky. You need someone who actually sees you, Lori, I said. Someone who wouldn't drop you the moment a blonde batted her lashes. Someone who stays. That person's right here. Her voice cracked as she tried to lighten the moment. So, you like dark-haired girls, huh? This isn't about Zex, I said firmly. I never crossed the line. She looked at me confused. Then what is this? Why are you always around? If you want me gone, I said quietly, just say so. She didn't say a word. My tone softened. I'm here because I love you. I have since the moment I saw you at that party. I know it's hopeless, just like you and Todd. But love makes you believe in impossible things. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Like what? I hesitated. Never mind. I've had enough for one night. I turned to go, but she called out, Mark, you'll see me tomorrow, right? That's the thing about love, I said with a faint smile. You keep coming back even when it hurts. And just like that, 2 years passed. I stayed loyal to someone engaged to another man. I missed out on real chances. I wasn't unattractive. I just wasn't interested in anyone else. No one was Lori Powski. Eventually, things started to shift. That Christmas, she gave me cologne, told me to wear it for her. Could have smelled like garbage. I still would have worn it every day. On the last day of the school year, she reached for my hand, holding it tightly as the final bell echoed in the distance. Don't wear it for other girls, Lori whispered, eyes fixed on the bracelet she'd given me. I won't, I said softly, my heart already aching at the thought of goodbye. Her voice wavered. I'm going to miss you so much. It's only 3 months, I said, trying to sound steady. I'll be working with my family, saving up. So, when fall comes, when you're back, waiting for Todd, we can do more. She shook her head, blinking back tears. 3 months feels too long, I squeezed her hand. It'll fly by. Damn it, Mark, she said, voice breaking. I think I love you too. Why does life have to be so hard? She burst into tears, pressed something into my hand, and ran. I stood frozen. She loves me. When I looked down, it was a folded note, her number, and one simple message. Call me. And I did. Back then, long-distance calls weren't cheap. I probably spent a quarter of my summer paycheck calling Missouri. Turns out, I talked to her more than Todd did, and he lived next door. When I got back to campus that fall, I wasn't expecting what happened next. I had barely finished unpacking when a loud knock rattled my door. I opened it, and there stood Todd blocking the doorway like a human brick wall. Where have you been? He demanded. Whatever you think I did, I didn't, I said, hands up. I just got here. That's the problem, he muttered. I've been here 3 days and haven't had a moment to myself. I need you to do what you did last year. I raised an eyebrow. And what exactly was that? You know, hang out with Lori while I'm busy, he said casually. Keeps other guys off her. Lets me focus on training. Once we're married, football's going to be my only glory. I owe you, man. When I sign my multi-million-dollar NBA contract, I'll cut you in. I stared at him. Right, because I'm your boyfriend. He didn't get it, just turned and started to walk off. I couldn't help myself. Hey, Todd, I called after him. The NBA is basketball. You play football. That's the NFL. He stopped, turned, frowning. Which one's the car thing? NHL, right? Nope. Damn it, he muttered. My brother told me that. I'm going to kick his A. He stormed off. Not 20 minutes later, Lori showed up. That final year changed everything. Lori and I were inseparable. When we weren't in class, we were kissing. By spring, things turned physical. She carried guilt, so I never pressured her. But every goodbye got harder. "I want you so much," she told me once. "Kissing you is better than sex with Todd. If we ever did sleep together, it would be incredible. You've only been with him once." She nodded. I keep wishing summer wouldn't come. She sighed. "The draft is soon. Todd gets picked. We move, and I lose you. But I love you, Mark." My heart almost exploded. I loved her too, but I told myself maybe the summer separation would help me move on. Then came the twist. Todd didn't get drafted. Not in any round. No invites, no callbacks. He lost his agent and even asked me to cold call a Canadian team. I actually reached someone in Ottawa. "I'm calling for Todd Williams," I said. "Who?" The guy replied, then hung up. Not long after, I got access to Todd's scouting profile. Brutal. He had the size but not the speed or the brain. Teams had years of footage showing how irrelevant he'd become on the field. He wasn't blocked anymore, just avoided. With no degree, no eligibility, and no plan, Todd crumbled. He vanished from class, started drinking, spiraled hard. Lori didn't seem too upset. "In a way, it's a blessing," she told me. "Now I don't have to leave you." I couldn't believe it. "He'll figure things out," she added. "But right now, this means I get more time with you." From the beginning, she'd been a dream I thought I'd never touch. Even after she said she loved me, I didn't believe it fully. Now it was real. But love, I knew only means something if you're willing to fight for it. "Don't look at me like that, you idiot." She said, "I told you I love you too, but I also love him." I didn't think it was possible to love two people, but I swear I do. I was speechless. "I'm still marrying Todd," she whispered, "because that's what everyone expects. It feels like if I don't, my whole world falls apart." She didn't sound sure at all. Over the last 2 years, she'd spent far more time with me. Todd was barely around, always distracted or cheating. I convinced myself that if I stayed patient, she'd choose me. Truth was, I never intended to let her go. I loved her too much. But when you love someone that deeply, you don't force them. You just want them happy. So, I didn't push. I listened. I hoped. Deep down, I dreamed of a life with her, one where I gave her everything she ever wanted. But I left it up to fate, rolled the dice, and somehow I got lucky. It didn't happen overnight. It was slow, painful. The first shift came when they decided not to move back to Missouri. Todd didn't want to return as a failure. They stayed in Illinois. He tried to find work but wasn't good at anything outside football. He flamed out at every job, still clinging to dreams of a second chance. NFL, CFL, arena leagues, nothing. Meanwhile, he kept eating like he was in training without actually training. Within 8 months, he looked like a marshmallow. The one upside, I got to see Lori whenever I wanted. She never directly said Todd was failing, but she told me she loved me every single day. The first sign things were falling apart came when Lori told me she started waiting tables, and it was harder than she thought. They needed her paycheck just to cover rent. Then one afternoon at work, I got a panicked call from her. She was sobbing, begging me to pick her up. I'd never been to their apartment, but it was only about an hour away. By then, I'd been running the family business for 3 months. Before that, I'd taken a job outside the company after college, something my family didn't take well. I wanted to prove myself independently. My older brother Jeff became a teacher, and my younger brother Michael was a writer. Neither wanted anything to do with the business, but they were happy to collect passive income from it. When my father's health declined, everyone assumed I'd step in. I'd worked summers there and knew the operation best, but my brothers only cared about their checks. Eventually, Dad confronted me. "You're wasting your time," he said. "You're just another middle manager answering to guys who've never seen a production floor. Why settle for that when you could run your own company? It's yours, Mark. Your brothers don't care. Just take it." He lived 3 more years, long enough to meet his granddaughter. During that time, he taught me everything. How the business had only posted 1 loss during his divorce. How he protected assets through a family trust. And how he lived like a wealthy man on paper income of $200 a week. It was smart, if not exactly ethical. He swore no woman would ever take a dime from him again. But nothing prepared me for Laura's apartment. It was in terrible shape. I didn't even want to park my new Mustang nearby. She was outside on a bench crying, suitcase at her feet. When she saw me, she ran to the car. Then Todd stuck his head out the window. "Take her, she's worthless. Just wanted to live off me anyway. If you want a woman who only shows up when she needs something, go ahead. She's all yours." He slammed the window. I never saw him again. On the drive back, Lori told me everything. She had worked 2 double shifts in 24 hours and came home to find Todd in bed with a heavy-set blonde. When she confronted him, he said she was stupid to think he'd ever change. He even bragged about saving money by having Zax at home instead of wasting cash on motel. The other woman was lounging in Laura's robe, reading her bridal magazines. That broke her. She grabbed a bag, called me, and left. Since I had to return to work, we stopped for lunch and ate in my office. I told her I'd help with whatever she needed. I offered to fly her back to Missouri, but she said she just needed time, maybe a week to think. One last chance for Todd to prove he'd change. I wasn't a history buff, but suddenly I wanted to start writing a new chapter with her. That afternoon, I handed Lori my credit cards and have had my assistant take her shopping. I moved her into my guest room. She never left. It felt natural and like we were never apart. She just didn't go back to Todd. A few weeks later, I brought her to a family event. My stepmother pulled me aside. "Don't let her go. She's the one." Before I could say anything, Lori turned to me. "I've just been waiting for you to ask." Shocked, I dropped to one knee. "Lori, I don't have a ring yet. But if you say yes, we'll go find one first thing in the morning. Will you?" "Yes," she shouted before I could finish. Things moved quickly. The next day, my stepmother, Lori, and my sisters-in-law started planning the wedding. Lori called her parents. They flew in that weekend to meet me and to get answers about Todd. Her father even paid Todd a visit. Whatever he said must have been intense. When he returned, he pulled me aside, shook my hand, and gave his blessing. Todd's name never came up again, but I could tell he'd crossed the line her father didn't forgive. For over 25 years, I truly believed I'd kept my promise. I thought I'd made Lori the happiest woman alive. Clearly, I was wrong. The drive to Michigan was a blur. My Mustang practically flew down the highway. I kept checking the speedometer and easing off the gas. I found a motel near Dearborn, checked in, and set the alarm for 8 a.m. But at 7, my phone rang. "Hello?" I croaked. "You sound as bad as I feel," Lori said. "Have you calmed down enough to talk?" "I don't want to talk," I said flatly. "I gave you everything. Never said no. I loved you enough to try building a perfect life." "And we had one," she said quickly. "Mark, we were together nearly 30 years. That counts for something. We can fix this. I was the happiest woman alive. Can't we just go back?" "No," I said, because it was built on a lie. "I heard you and Katie yesterday. That wasn't some mistake. It was a long, emotional affair. So, While I gave everything to you, you were giving yourself to someone else. But that's how it feels. I cut in like getting punched by the one person you trust most. Mark, please. No. The only thing left to say is what I already told you. Pack your stuff. Be gone before I get home. After that, we'll talk through lawyers. You throw away 30 years over this, she cried. I'll stop. I swear we'll get through it. That was the dumbest thing you could have said, I snapped. What? Saying I'll stop just confirmed it's still happening. Don't stop. Go be with him. I'm almost 50. I'm done wasting time on cheaters. I need someone who's with me, not against me. I hung up before she could answer. She called again. I ignored it, then blocked her number. At the show, I went through the usual routine, cleaning the car, checking the tires, polishing every surface of the Mustang I loved. I walked the lot, took photos, smiled politely, but didn't engage. Normally, Lori would have been with me, chatting with other wives, talking family and travel. This year, I kept to myself. Eventually, someone asked, "Where's your wife?" "At home," I said with a tight smile. Inside, I was aching. There was a lure-shaped hole in my chest. That night, I had dinner alone in the motel. Normally, we drive home after the show. This time, I stayed. No reason to rush. I got home the next afternoon. To my surprise, her car was still in the driveway. So was my brother-in-law's and a rental. At first, I assumed she rented something and Eric had come to talk about Katie. But when I walked inside, I realized I was wrong. Katie and Eric were there. So were Lori's parents, looking stunned and uncomfortable. Lori sat between her daughter and her mother, both comforting her. "Everything will be fine," her mom whispered. I didn't even shut the door before asking, "Why are you still here?" They all looked stunned by my cold tone. "You can keep the car," I said. "When I gave it to you, it was yours. I'll keep paying off the loan, but you need your own insurance." "Mark," her dad said, "let's talk this through. You've always been a great son-in-law. I was relieved when Lori chose you and not that damn football player. Honestly, I wish he had married Todd," I cut in. "I could have found someone else and avoided all this." "Come on, Mark," he said with a sad smile. "Every couple goes through things. Lori's mom and I almost split after I gambled away a paycheck in Vegas. This is nothing compared to that." "Nothing?" I said sharply. "She's been having an affair. Not a one-night mistake, a long one." "What?" He blinked. "I thought, no, your daughter's been cheating for a while. I found out yesterday when she was scolding Katie for her mistake." Katie went pale. "Katie?" Eric asked. "He's lying, right?" Katie looked down, silent. Lori burst into sobs. Clearly, she told her parents nothing. Eric and Katie began shouting. I quietly went upstairs to unpack. Lori followed me. "Are you happy now?" she snapped. "You made me look like a hooker in front of my parents. You ruined our daughter's marriage." I turned calmly. I told them the truth. "Something you still won't do. You never explained anything about your affair. I don't care about the details. I just want you gone." As for Katie, I warned her. I told her to tell Eric. She didn't, so I did. I stepped into the garage, calm and focused. Without a word, I grabbed the car wash kit and rolled it out to the driveway. The sun was low, casting a warm glow over everything. I got to work. Behind me, I heard a voice. "You really think now's the time to wash your car?" I turned slightly. My father-in-law stood at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed. "Tomorrow's Monday," I replied, not looking up. "I've got work and my car is covered in road dust. It's too beautiful to leave dirty." He hesitated. But don't you think you should work things out with Lori? I kept scrubbing. There's nothing to work out. It's already settled. He frowned. Just like that. Exactly like that. I finally looked at him. I asked her who she cheated with. She wouldn't tell me. That said everything. Protecting him mattered more than saving our marriage. I let out a breath and stepped back from the hood of the car. I thought she was the love of my life, I said quietly. I gave her everything I had, everything. And while I was doing that, she was cheating. Who knows for how long. She called yesterday to apologize, and that's when it hit me. She's still seeing him. He didn't respond, just watched me. There's nothing left to fix, I added. Take her with you when you leave. I'm done wasting my life on someone who lied to my face. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. I'm a lawyer. I know how this stuff plays out, and I'm angry too. Believe me. But I also know Lori loves you. I told her not to move out yet, until a court says otherwise. Staying gives you both the best chance to talk. I plan to block the divorce petition and request court-ordered counseling. I paused, hands on my hips, then turned to face him fully. No court can force me to take back someone who cheated. She said she'll stop, he said gently. That's something. I picked up the hose, turned the nozzle, and let the water run. Try whatever you want, I said. And with that, I went back to washing the car. Eric stormed off in frustration. A few minutes later, Katie came out, her eyes red. How could you? She asked. I didn't answer, just kept washing, waxing, polishing. Everyone was watching like it was a performance, but I didn't care. I focused on the only thing that still made sense, my car. Once I finished packing, I pulled out another suitcase from the closet and started filling it. Lori stood in the doorway, arms crossed. I'm not leaving, she said, her voice firm. My dad told me any decent lawyer would say the same. Stay put. So unless you physically drag me out, I'm staying. I didn't even look up. We can't talk without it turning into a fight, and I'm not stupid enough to lay a hand on you. I'll wait for the court to order you out. Until then, I'll live somewhere else. You can't just run away, she shouted. We have to fix this. It can't be fixed, I said flatly. You just don't want to fix it. I'm not the one who broke it, I said, my tone like ice. My lawyer will contact your dad once I hire one, probably tomorrow. I don't want, she started. But I cut her off. We've already talked about this. I was shaking inside. But I kept my voice calm. I wouldn't let her see how much she'd broken me. Right then, my phone rang. An unexpected lifeline. It was my neighbor from the lake house. Mark, the grass at your cabin's gotten out of control, he said. It's practically a fire hazard. Want me to mow it? Yeah, go ahead, I replied. I'll stop by tomorrow to pay you. You don't have to. Just mail it. No, I said, already grabbing my keys. I'll come in person. I hadn't planned on staying there. I was going to find a motel until the eviction process played out. But suddenly, the cabin felt like the perfect escape. She could stay at the main house. I'd take the dacha, smaller but with a kitchen, working TV, and internet, if I reconnected the service. The only downside, a 45-minute drive. But I loved driving. The next morning, after checking in on the production floor, I called my attorney. He didn't handle divorces, but referred me to someone who did. The new lawyer took the case. He suggested two paths. One, file for divorce on grounds of infidelity. Give her nothing except the car and personal items and sue the guy she cheated with. Totally legal in our state. The second, a no-fault divorce with a small settlement to help her get on her feet. He advised against asking who she cheated with. It won't help you, he said. What matters is moving forward. He'd handled hundreds of divorces and told me the same truth he always shares. Most marriages don't end because of villains, just bad choices and selfish moments. The happiest clients were the ones who let go and focused on what made them feel alive again. The bitter ones aged faster and died miserable. I didn't totally get it, but I agreed. I wrote him a check, and he said he'd prepare the paperwork within a few days so we could meet with Lori and her father. I gave him my father-in-law's number. The rest of the day, I tried to focus on the business. I figured keeping something steady would help me cope. It didn't. Just before lunch, my secretary buzzed my office. "You've got a phone call," she said. Sylvia had been with me since I took over the company. She usually blocked Laura's calls, so I figured I should clue her in soon. Assuming it was a client, I picked up the phone. "Mark Brown." I answered the phone curtly. "Lori Brown," she replied, matching my tone with forced lightness, trying to talk some sense into her husband. "Did you really call just to ask if I've hired a lawyer?" "Mark, I can't believe you went that far," she said, her voice rising. "Yes, I did," I said flatly. "That's what people do when they're getting divorced. Your dad already filled me in on your plan, refusing to leave the house, dragging it into court, pushing for counseling. He laid it all out. Listen, honey, this is don't call me that," I snapped. "Save the pet names for the man you slept with." There was a pause. Then quietly she said, "I only stayed in the house so we could talk. Dad and I thought if we gave it time, you'd calm down. When I found out Lori, the only thing I asked was who he was, and you said nothing." I let the silence hang before continuing. "You protected him over our marriage. So, I hope he's worth it, because when this is over, you'll be out and you're not getting anything more than what the law requires." Her voice cracked. "You can't mean that. I'll tell you everything. Just ask." "I don't care anymore," I said, steel in my voice. "My lawyer told me it's time to move on, and he's right. I'm ready for a clean slate." "That's what I want too," she rushed out. "A fresh start. We can work through this." "You don't get it?" I said firmly. "I want a new beginning without you. I need someone I can trust, someone I can love who actually loves me back." "We're not done, Mark," she insisted, desperation creeping in. "We've been through too much to let something this small ruin us. We have a child." "Goodbye, Lori," I said and hung up. 3 hours later, my phone rang again. It was Katie. "Dad, why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. "Doesn't Mom deserve better after all these years?" "Katie," I said, trying to stay calm. "When someone cheats on their spouse for years, they don't deserve better. They deserve consequences. I never mistreated your mom. I loved her from the start. I was loyal. If anyone deserves better, it's me." She went silent. I pressed gently. "Let me ask you something. If you found out I'd been cheating on your mom for years, sleeping with secretaries or clients, whose side would you be on?" "Probably Mom's," she admitted. "But I'd still want you two to stay together. No kid wants their parents to split up." "Then why aren't you on my side now?" "I didn't cheat." There was a pause. "Maybe because it feels like my fault," she whispered. "If I hadn't lost it and said what I did, none of this would have come out." "You mean I'd still be clueless?" I said. "How is that better? Why didn't you tell me, Katie? Was I a bad father?" No, never, she said quickly, her voice starting to tremble. I should have told you. But Mom said it was over. She said you knew. I didn't want you to tell Eric. He's so hurt now. He used to look at me the way you looked at Mom. But now it's different. Even if we fix things, it won't feel the same. You're lucky it was just one time, I said. Eric's angry. He should be. But he loves you. He might forgive you. But you still cheated, Katie. That pain doesn't just go away. I was drunk, she cried. Catherine, stop. My tone hardened. You're an adult. You know better. If you're married and your husband's not there, you don't drink. And don't lie to yourself. You told your mom you weren't that drunk. You even said you wanted to try it again. You knew exactly what you were doing. She sniffled on the other end. I've learned my lesson. I swear I didn't realize how much Eric does for me. How tired he is working overtime just to support us. I'm glad you finally see that. There was a beat, and then she asked, what about Mom? She wants to fix things with you too. This is different, I said firmly. Your mom wasn't drunk. She wasn't confused. She knowingly betrayed me over and over. I don't see a way back from that. She loves you, Dad, Katie said softly. I really don't think she can handle this without you. That's not my problem anymore, I said. She has someone else now. Let him take care of her. I'm not going to be the third wheel in this triangle. I need to move forward. I hope things work out with Eric, I added gently. Take care, sweetheart. 3 days later, I saw Lori again, this time across the table in my lawyer's office. She was dressed up, freshly styled, still beautiful despite a few more lines in her face. What are you staring at? She asked. Just thinking how beautiful you still are, I said, and wondering how I'm supposed to get over you. You don't have to, she said with a soft smile. I do, I replied. It'll take time, but I'll be okay. Her smile disappeared. Mark, we need to stop this before it's too late. My client is here to discuss divorce options, my lawyer cut in. He's been reasonable and wants to offer a choice in how this moves forward. Why should I agree to any of this? Lori snapped. I love my husband. This is ridiculous. I won't just give up. Lori, please. Her father warned. My lawyer placed 2 sets of documents in front of her. What's this? Her father asked. There are 2 routes, the attorney said. We recommend a no-fault divorce. Cleaner, faster, and easier for everyone. But if she refuses, we'll proceed on grounds of infidelity. The only negotiable item is the settlement amount. This is outrageous, her father said. You're kicking her out with just a car and the clothes on her back. She cheated for years, I said. Won't say with who or for how long. Let him support her now. I stayed loyal. I meant my vows. I loved you too, Lori shouted. And I didn't cheat. Then what do you call sneaking around with someone else for years? I snapped. You expect me to forgive that? My lawyer signaled me to stop. I'm going to petition the court for mandatory counseling, her father said. They still care about each other. There's no need, my lawyer replied. My client agrees. He'll even pay for it. You pick the counselor. No, I started, but my lawyer stopped me with a glance. If counseling fails, he added, we'll proceed with the divorce. It's Mrs. Brown's decision. He turned to Lori. Court records are public. With a fault divorce, everyone, neighbors, friends, will know exactly what happened. But with a no-fault divorce, you can protect your privacy. Lori's face stayed blank. Half the town will call you a hoe, he added bluntly. Let them talk, she said. I'm not giving up on Mark. Her father shook his head. Where are these numbers coming from? He claims to make $200 a week, yet he drives a car like that. That's creative bookkeeping. My lawyer said, no kids involved. She might get $15,000 over 3 years. He owned the house before marriage. She won't get it. That's not fair. Fair, I snapped. I supported her for 25 years while she had a side relationship. I wanted a partner to grow old with, not a part-time wife and a full-time liar. If this was business, I'd sue for fraud. The room fell silent as Lori began crying. You don't understand, she sobbed. I love you, Mark. I always have. We can grow old together. I wanted that, I said, but not with a third person in the picture. We're getting nowhere, my lawyer said. If Mrs. Brown doesn't settle after counseling, we file for infidelity. You have 3 days to name a therapist. My client will attend. Can I just tell him who it is? Lori asked. We'll only speak during sessions, I replied. No private talks. You could stay at the house during therapy, she said. Separate rooms. It's still your home. I'm not risking anything. We're in legal territory now, and I've already made other arrangements. You're really walking away? She asked through tears. You won't even try to fix it. You already broke it, I said. I'm just trying to rebuild what's left of my life. Less than an hour later, I got a call. Lori and her father had found a therapist. My lawyer had already vetted her. When I arrived, the therapist greeted us warmly. She was a large woman with oversized glasses and a calm presence. Let's set up our chairs, she said, anywhere that allows for open conversation. I picked a seat. Lori pulled hers right next to mine. I glanced at her. The therapist raised an eyebrow. Interesting, she said. What is? I've read your file. I know Lori was the one who cheated. Most people in your position would pull their chair away when their spouse gets close. You didn't. I'm still figuring out why. I shrugged. My goal here is simple, she said. No matter the outcome, I want you both to leave in a better place. Mrs. Brown, let's begin with you. Why are you here? To stop the divorce. I want to save our marriage. And you, Mr. Brown? I'm here to speed it up, I replied. She looked surprised. My lawyer knew they'd demand therapy, I explained. If we waited for a court order, it would have taken 6 weeks just to get a ruling, then months of sessions. By agreeing up front, I cut 3 months off the process. I get my divorce faster. So, you've already decided it's over? The therapist asked. It is. Mr. Brown, why did your marriage fail? My wife cheated. I'm done being married to someone who betrayed me. Mrs. Brown, do you agree? The therapist asked. No, Lori said firmly. He doesn't understand. I still love him. I want our marriage. He doesn't understand, I snapped, because she never told me anything. I don't know how or when it started. I don't even know who the guy is or what I supposedly did to deserve this. I gave her everything, and you were the best husband anyone could ask for. She cried. It didn't start. It just never ended. I owed him. And wait, never ended. I shot up, knocking my chair over. It's Todd, isn't it? Lori broke down in tears, her shoulders shaking as she sat on the edge of the therapist's couch. The therapist leaned forward, her voice gentle. Lori, take a breath. Let's, but I was already standing, heading for the door. Mr. Brown, where are you going? She called after me. I paused, hand on the doorknob. I don't need this anymore, I said calmly. You're paid in full, but as far as I'm concerned, this case is closed. The therapist stood up, concern in her eyes. What do you mean exactly? I turned slightly. just enough to speak over my shoulder. When I first met Lori, she was still tangled up with a guy who cheated on her constantly. What I didn't realize was that she never really let him go. We didn't sleep together before marriage, not once. But apparently, she never stopped sleeping with him. Lori let out a strangled sob, but I didn't stop. They go back longer than she and I ever did. Fine. But the only thing I truly regret is supporting her for all these years, believing she'd been honest with me. The therapist's voice was quieter now. What happens now? I'm getting a DNA test for Katie. I said she doesn't act like me, never really has. If Todd turns out to be her father, I'll sue him for every dollar I spent raising her. And if everything between Lori and me was built on lies, I'll pursue an annulment for fraud. Lori married me under false pretenses. I opened the door, glancing back one final time. They may owe me hundreds of thousands. Either way, I'm done. I left without looking back. At my lawyer's office, I told him everything. He got right to work. 2 days later, my life exploded. I became both famous and hated. My father-in-law was furious. My mother-in-law heartbroken. Katie devastated. Todd called, threatening me. Some stranger even asked to meet. Then her father barged into my office. Damn it, Mark. What happened to you? I fell in love, I said, and got betrayed. Let it go, he said. Lori's in the hospital. Do I care? I replied. She cheated on me for 25 years. She was never truly mine. And you're asking if I feel bad. I get it, he said, sighing. But Katie is your daughter. He sat down slowly, glancing around the room. Got anything to drink? He asked. I shook my head. No, right? He said with a faint smile. You don't drink. Always respected that about you. I gave him a look. I didn't think you ever really liked me. Come on, he said, leaning forward. When I first met you, I was just surprised. Everyone figured Lori would end up with Todd. But once I saw what kind of man Todd really was, I was relieved she married you instead. You made her happy. I saw it. And if I'd known she was still seeing him, I would have shut it down. He looked me straight in the eye. No matter what happened, he said quietly, she loves you and Katie is your daughter. I didn't respond. You don't need a DNA test, Mark, he added. Todd's too dumb to be her father. I let out a quiet chuckle. It doesn't matter, I said. I raised her. I gave her my values, and I can't erase the love I felt for her since the day she was born. But if Todd is her biological father, then he owes me. Period. I paused for a moment, then looked back at him. You don't get it, I said. Todd didn't ruin anything. All I ever wanted was a partner. But instead, I got someone whose heart was always somewhere else. You're wrong, he said. She gave you her life, her time, her heart. Todd got nothing but a few guilty nights. You got everything real. Even if it was just once or twice, I said softly. It still wasn't right. I know, he nodded. But life's messy. It's not just black and white. It's every color in between. Just think about it. Meanwhile, your wife's in the hospital. Doesn't she at least deserve a visit? That evening, as I walked to my car, Katie was already there, sitting in the passenger seat, crying. So, I'm not your daughter? She whispered. I'll take the test, but I've never even met that guy. How could you think I belonged to him? Before I could respond, Katie threw her arms around me, sobbing. You'll always be my girl, I said, holding her tight. This has nothing to do with you. It's about making that man pay. Dad, "How much do you think he's going to pay?" she asked, pulling back. I was so angry I asked Mom about it. She continued. "He's a loser, fat, broke, bitter, married to a trashy woman, stuck in a dead-end life, cheats on her, just like he did with Mom, and his own mother said she always made him use protection. He doesn't have kids, never has. I'm not his, not even clothes." She studied my face. "What's wrong?" "It's not you," I said. "It's just your mom and I never used rubbers. Once she started the pill, we didn't bother. But if she was buying them for him, that means she planned to cheat. It wasn't an accident, and that's what really hurts." I went to see Lori at the hospital. She was hooked up to monitors and IVs, but awake. Her eyes met mine the moment I stepped through the door, flushed with emotion, then hardening into anger. "You here to kick me while I'm down?" she said coldly. "Your dad asked me to stop by," I replied. "But I can leave." I stayed anyway, taking a seat on the edge of the bed. "What happened?" I asked. "When you left, I had a severe panic attack. They thought it was a heart attack at first. My blood pressure was through the roof." She hesitated, then went on quieter. "I've only ever loved 2 men," she said. "I know you think I'm a hoe, but I've only ever been with 2 people. If that makes me one, I must be terrible at it." She wiped at her eyes with the back of her hand. "I didn't cheat to hurt you. It wasn't some big plan. It just happened. When I met you, I was still with Todd. You knew that. But you kept showing up. You made me feel like I mattered again." Her voice cracked. "Eventually, I realized I loved you too. But I never completely stopped loving him. I liked you more. I hated how he treated me. But feelings don't just vanish. Our lives were already planned out before you came along. And suddenly, you were the other man. Even before we slept together, it felt like cheating on Todd." She looked down at the blanket, fingers twisting in the fabric. "You could have had me any time," she whispered. "I would have said yes, but you didn't. You waited because you were too kind." I didn't say anything. "Things with Todd kept getting worse," she continued. "He was cheating. We were broke. I hated that life. But when I called you, you came like always. You made me feel like a princess." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "I never lied to you, Mark. I loved you. I still do. I wanted everything. Marriage, kids, growing old together." Then her tone shifted. Defensive. Wounded. "And don't look at me like that. You're still my husband. I can call you whatever I want." She tried to smile. It faded just as fast. I had our whole wedding planned. Then Todd called. Said he was sorry. That he was broken after not going pro. That he needed help. That I owed him one last chance. She looked away. I told him about you. He got angry and hung up. A few days later, he called again. Calmer said I gave you a chance, so I should give him one too, and I did. We started talking, eventually sleeping together. I closed my eyes. I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it out of guilt. He made me feel like I used him, like I owed him, and part of me believed it. She wiped her eyes again. You gave me money. I bought that dress, showed it to you. But I gave the rest to him. Rent, groceries. He depended on it. He made me feel like everything that went wrong was my fault. She sniffled. It wasn't every week, maybe once or twice a month. And I always made him use protection. That's why you worry about Katie. I get it. You should do the DNA test. And when it proves she's yours, I hope you apologize to her. Her voice trembled. I cut ties with Todd after Katie was born. That's when I finally saw him for who he really was. She swallowed hard. Mark, he never loved me. He liked blondes. He only stayed with me because I helped him pass school. He came back for your money. I was too blind to see it. She looked broken now. One day I brought him cash. Showed up early. Katie was just a few months old. We hadn't had sex in months. He said I looked like a whale. I heard him through the door laughing with some woman. Her voice dropped, mocking his words. Look, I only put up with her for the money. She's not even my type. Dumb, boring in bed, too emotional. A minute later, that same woman walked out. Fat, missing teeth. She looked at me and smiled like she'd won something. Then Todd stepped out. I stopped answering his calls, but eventually he started threatening me. Said he'd tell you everything. Her voice grew smaller, so I stayed. I figured once or twice a month wasn't so bad. Wasn't like what we had, it was just a cost. For every 10 times I made love to you, I owed him one. Most of the time, I just laid there thinking about what to buy at the store. She took a breath, shaky and thin. Usually I saw him while you were at work. I'd meet him, then go shopping. I loved you, Mark. I loved you with everything in me. But a part of me wasn't ready to let him go. She looked up at me, eyes hollow. Now you know everything. I turned and walked out. Lori screamed after me, begging me to stay. But I didn't look back. 25 years is a long time, but I still remembered the area near that crumbling apartment. I drove around until I spotted him. Todd, slumped on a porch step, barely recognizable. He was bloated, limping, unshaven, missing teeth, and dragging an oxygen tank. I got out and called his name. He looked up, eyes foggy with recognition. A woman beside him looked puzzled. "How's our girl?" he asked, grinning through the gaps in his teeth. I rushed him. One punch to the gut dropped him. His oxygen tube popped free and he gasped for air. I kicked him hard and repeatedly. He couldn't scream, just moan and wheeze. Then everything went black. I woke to the sharp sting of smelling salts and handcuffs. A paramedic stood over me. Todd's wife had knocked me out cold with a plank from the porch. The cops pulled me up. I told them I didn't need a hospital. One officer drove my Mustang to the station. I warned him, scratch it and I'd sue. They cuffed me to the steering wheel and let me drive with a cop riding rifle. "What kind of guy attacks a disabled diabetic?" he asked, disgusted. I told him the whole story. Years of betrayal, blackmail, lies. "Tell it to the DA," he said. "You might walk." I called my lawyer. 2 hours later, I was released. No charges. If I agreed to talk to Lori, she'd confirmed the blackmail, which gave me leverage. In exchange for Todd dropping his charges, I dropped mine. Honestly, it was fine. The man had nothing left. He wouldn't live another year. Lori was still in the hospital. Her dad kept calling, urging me to cancel the divorce. He said she was doing better, excited to see me. Lori called too. "Can you come back? Don't wait a week." I finally went. She looked radiant, just like the girl I met decades ago. "Hi, honey." She beamed. "I'm so happy." "What are you so happy about?" I asked. "I helped you. Todd's no threat now. And Katie, she's yours. Like Maury would say, you are the father. Everything's going to be fine." "I'd love to believe that," I said. "Yes, you helped, but only after I agreed to talk. Lori, I gave you everything for 25 years, and the one time I needed help, you made it conditional. That's not love." She stayed quiet. "And about Todd, he's still a threat because you never let go. You still haven't said the one thing that matters, that it's over." She blinked, stunned. You've never looked me in the eye and said it's completely over. Her mouth dropped open. And Katie? I always knew she was mine. I needed to scare her straight. She got my self-awareness and your ability to justify anything. Lori began crying. You helped me more than you know, I said. When you repeated your story for the DA, it became part of the public record. Now I can file for annulment fraud. The marriage was based on a lie. You've got some time before court. You might want to start packing. Her heart monitor spiked. I glanced at it once. Take care, Lori, I said, and walked out. 3 weeks later, I leaned on the railing of a massive cruise ship. The open ocean made my stomach lurch. Not fear, just a healthy respect for things that can eliminate you. I had a week left on my 2 Caribbean trip. The morning breeze had me pull a hoodie over my Dream Cruise t-shirt featuring a GT 500. My phone buzzed, a local number. Then I remembered it was already midday back home. My brothers had a habit of calling non-stop during the workday. Lori was blocked. My lawyer only called once a day. I felt a tug on my sleeve. I turned. No one. Then a voice behind me. That's rude. I turned again. A tiny woman stood barely up to my chest. I'm 5'10". She couldn't have been more than 4'11". Curls the color of flame, freckles across her nose, and vivid green eyes. You going to jump? She asked casually. Hell no, I said. Why would you even ask that? Well, if you were, I wanted your shirt, she said matter-of-factly. No judgment. I've considered jumping myself. That's the worst way to go, I replied. It's like hitting concrete. Then you freeze, then you drown. Thanks for the pep talk, she smirked. If I spiral again, I'll find a better option. What would make you depressed? I asked, genuinely curious. What do you mean me? She said, narrowing her eyes. If you're about to make a short joke, don't. Didn't say a word about height? I said carefully. Then what? You just seem bright, spirited, quite nice. That's all I get, she laughed. I was afraid of saying too much. Didn't want you biting my head off. So, is this a conversation now? She asked. Because if it is, you've got 2 choices. Come inside and have breakfast with me, or give me the shirt. I'm freezing. I smiled and offered my hand. She took it. Small, warm, and full of something I hadn't felt in a long time. As soon as we stepped inside, we found a small restaurant and ordered breakfast. She extended her hand again. Emily Anderson. Mark Brown, I said, shaking it, over pancakes and coffee. We swapped stories. She'd married her high school sweetheart and spent 18 years with him until she came home to find him in bed with her cousin. Turns out he resented her height, their inability to have kids, and had fathered 2 children with her cousin. She divorced him and gave them her blessing to start a new life. The cruise ticket had been his prize in a radio contest. He gave it to her and she used it to get away, unsure where life was taking her, but desperate to feel free again. When I shared my story, she stared at me, stunned. Wow, what a witch, she said. By the time we finished eating, the sun was high. What are you doing today? I asked. Probably catching a movie, she smiled. You? I was thinking we could stay on deck for a while. I know we just met, but I really enjoy talking to you. I like your spark. I like you too, Mark, she said. But just a heads up, I'm a redhead. I don't tan, I burn. Then let's find something indoors. I don't want to wait until sundown. She smiled, and just like that, I was hooked. The rest of the cruise, we were inseparable, except when we slept. We talked about everything. I half-jokingly offered her a job. But what I remember most was our last day. That's when we kissed. I knew it was wrong. I was still technically married, but it felt so right. Her lips were soft and tasted like cherries. The kiss deepened fast, her arms locked around my neck, legs around my waist. "Bed," she growled between kisses. "I don't screw the rules, just live." So we did. We spent the whole day in my cabin. Later, after a nap, she curled up beside me, holding me close. That night, we dressed, had dinner, and walked the deck in silence, sharing everything with just a glance. "I've never done this before," she said. "You're a fast learner," I smiled. She playfully punched my arm. "I was married 18 years, genius. I meant I've never felt so hot like that. I felt wanted, strong, like I mattered." "Sounds like goodbye," I said quietly. "It's not," she replied, "but I've been stuck in a small Tennessee town with a man who never truly saw me. I want to travel. I want more. That's what I've always wanted." My heart sank. She had lifted me out of despair in just a week, only to walk away. She raised her chin, waiting for a goodbye kiss. A tear ran down her cheek, and I froze. Was I really this weak? Was I about to lose myself to a stranger again? Was I destined to fall for every spark of affection? She didn't wait. She kissed me again, deep and unapologetic. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close. "Easy, cowboy," she whispered. "We're not going back to bed yet, but you'll get another chance." She silenced me with a kiss. "I'm bad at goodbyes. Don't look for me in the morning. Just remember me and live." She walked to the closet, grabbed the t-shirt I gave her. "Taking this back, a little piece of you to remember." Then she was gone. The next day was chaos. Airports, noise, and messages flooding my phone. My lawyer, my daughter, my brothers, all furious. I'd gone silent for a week. Back home, I went straight to work. My brothers, who couldn't stand each other, left in silence. The older one muttered, "He's an idiot," about the younger who told me he'd never cover for me again, and I'd better train someone else. Later, my secretary filled me in. While I was gone, both brothers slept with our new receptionist, then turned on each other. She fired the receptionist, but the damage was done. The office was a mess. And now, apparently, all three of us were on our way to being single, just like Dad. I called my lawyer. The judge sympathized with my story, but wouldn't grant an annulment, too murky for fraud. He would approve a divorce if both sides agreed to fair terms. My lawyer and Lori's dad negotiated for over a week, with no success. Her father clearly hoped she'd change my mind. Eventually, Lori agreed to move out on one condition, that I meet with her when I got back. I kept my word and went to see her at Katie's place. "I'm here," I said. "What did you want to talk about?" "The same thing I always do," she said softly. "Us." For the next 30 minutes, Lori threw out every excuse she could think of to justify years of cheating. She claimed I was overreacting, that I was just jealous. "Why was it okay for me to spend all my time with you while I was engaged to Todd?" she argued. "But not okay to spend a little time with a dying man now that I'm with you. This is about your ego, Mark. You could share me when I was his, but now you can't stand to share anything. That's your real issue." Then came her final plea. "Mark, I loved you both. Maybe you treated me better, but you had the means to. I can't abandon Todd now. Not when he's sick. He probably won't make it 5 more years. We barely even sleep together anymore." I smiled. "Oh, so it's funny now that he's too weak to perform," she snapped. I shook my head slowly. No, it just hit me. That cruise helped me find clarity. I used to think our marriage was falling apart because I wasn't enough. I believed you were the only woman for me. Lori frowned. So, what did you figure out? That I was the only one trying, I said. I kept compromising, sacrificing, holding on to the hope that we could fix things. But you never even tried. You didn't take the one step that could have actually saved us. She narrowed her eyes. What step? You never ended things with him. You're still seeing him, still trying to live in both worlds. She shot back like you did in college when you thought he'd go pro. I shrugged. That's fine. You don't have to choose anymore. Her tone shifted, cautious but hopeful. What about the divorce? Forget it, I said. Not worth the legal bills. Her face lit up. I knew you'd come around. I can't wait for you to come home. Tell that to Todd, I said flatly. She reached for me. I took a step back. What's wrong? She asked. I just wanted a kiss. Kiss Todd. You're being ridiculous. I'm not jealous, Lori, I said, my voice calm but distant. I just don't care anymore. Do what you want, but giving up the divorce doesn't mean I'm coming back. It doesn't mean we're together. She froze, lips parted, but speechless. I won, I continued. I got you out of my house. Now I just need to find someone who actually makes me happy and move her in. She stood still, stunned. Wishing you and Todd all the best, I said, turning for the door. Tell him I said hi. On the way out, I spotted Eric near the driveway. Eric, I called out, how'd you like to come work for me? I need someone dependable, someone I can trust when I need time off. He looked surprised. Let me think about it. Later that day, the voicemail started flooding in. Lori's parents were livid. With no finalized divorce, she wasn't entitled to anything. No money, no access, no support. At nearly 50, she had to move back in with them, and her constant crying was driving them crazy. Todd was furious too. Lori's financial support had vanished. She left a string of profane voicemails using Katie's phone. Hers had been cut off. Her credit cards were declined. The house locks were changed, and she finally understood the worst part of what I'd told her. I'd been talking about someone else. In the days that followed, I focused on work, got production back on track. I avoided places I might run into Lori. I wanted peace. It was Saturday evening. I was out front washing my Mustang when she showed up. Not Lori, but her, wearing the sweatshirt she'd taken 8 days ago. Watch mine next, she said with a teasing smile. I froze. How did you? You told me your whole life story, she said, stepping closer. Your business name? The town wasn't hard to find. You never mentioned the Mustang, though. You didn't say much either, I replied. Why do you think I wanted the t-shirt? She grinned. I smiled back, unsure. So, why are you here? I'm not just passing through, she said, her voice softer now. I'm staying. I thought you wanted to see the world. So did I, she said until I left for 6 hours and realized I'd made a mistake. My mind wouldn't shut up, arguing with itself the whole way. I thought maybe it was too soon. I just got out of a long, bad marriage. But then I remembered how you made me feel in 1 week, better than I had in 18 years. That felt worth staying for. By then she was close, her body pressing gently against mine. And then I had another debate, she continued. You never said you loved me. Never said you wanted more. Just that I was quite nice. But I saw it in your eyes. You didn't want me to go. She wrapped her arms around me and pulled me into a hug. I've got a receptionist position open, I joked just above her ear. She kissed me, cherry again. You can't have it, I whispered. Why not? She asked, eyes dancing. If I looked at you all day, I'd never get anything done. Well, then I guess I should leave again, she teased. If you try that, we'll have a problem, I warned playfully. I don't do problems, she murmured, holding me tighter. I need to tell you something, I said. I already know. No, Emily, this is important. She looked up, her expression shifting to something serious. I'm serious about you too. I just didn't realize it until I left. I called off the divorce, I said quietly. Her eyes widened. She stepped back slightly and sat on the damp hood of my car. After everything she did to you, the judge wouldn't consider fraud, I explained. He said he'd approve the divorce if we settled financially, but fighting her in court just wasn't worth it anymore. Then just write her a check, she said. Life's too short. Exactly. I nodded and told her about Lori's legal games, how I'd walked away from the fight, from the house, from all of it. So she doesn't live with you anymore? Emily asked. No, I said. You do now. Her voice softened. Are you doing this because you still have feelings for her? I forgot about her the moment I met you. Emily smiled, and that was all she needed. That's all I needed to hear, she said. From that moment on, Emily and I picked up where we left off on the ship and never looked back. She even dropped by the factory when she missed me, which was often. My secretary adored her immediately. Eric, who'd accepted the job, liked her too.
자, 여러분들 펀딩 조금씩만 걸어주시면 감사하겠습니다. 제발. 나는 근데 공은 무거운 게 좋던데, 형들. 나는 무거운 게 좋더라고. 나 약간 힘볼링